The topic that I was assigned to present today is immigration and customs enforcement. First of all, a little bit about myself. My name is Diana Hudson, and I'm a criminal justice major with a concentration in Homeland Security. This is a picture of me and my dog. We love to go to the beach together, as you can see, and so we're really glad that the beaches have reopened. So I'm really glad that I got this topic because I really want to be an agent within HSI myself. I want to be one of the criminal investigators. So I really like ICE, and I'm glad I got this because it taught me a lot more about the organization that I didn't know before. Okay, so an overview of what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the history of the agency. We're going to discuss the mission and operations of the agency. We're going to discuss the 3 organizations that make up ICE, as well as we're going to discuss the careers within each of those organizations. So the different roles that are needed in each of those organizations and what you could be part of yourself. And then we're going to finally discuss some of the controversy surrounding ICE. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this agency, maybe more than in any other agency. We could have an argument about that, but I think there's a lot to be discussed there. So we're going to get into that. And then finally, I have my sources listed for you. Okay, so before we had ICE, before 9/11, there was the Immigration and Naturalization Services, and then you also had U.S. Customs Service. So these 2 agencies worked very separately. They were different entities, they did different things, but then of course after 9/11, DHS was very quickly created, and in March of 2003, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as we know it today, was created and established and combined INS and U.S. Customs Service into one agency that now works together. So there are 2 different mission statements depending on if you look on the DHS website or the ICE website. DHS states that the mission of the agency is to protect America from the cross-border crime and illegal immigration that threaten national security and public safety. ICE, their definition is a little more specific. They say that their mission is to prevent terrorism and enhance security, secure and manage U.S. borders, enforce and administer U.S. immigration laws, safeguard and secure cyberspace, and ensure resilience to disasters. So they do a lot of different stuff, which we're going to discuss in detail. They serve as the principal investigative criminal arm of the agency within DHS and enforce more than 400 federal statutes that help them to achieve this mission. So each year they receive about $6 billion in funding. This year they've requested $8.4 billion in funding. So a lot of money goes into this agency. The 3 organizations within ICE do very different things. So first of all, you have HSI. They pursue terrorists. They investigate child exploitation. They investigate human trafficking, identity theft, cybercrime, things like that. So they go after hackers. They do all those investigations on that side that are very specific and very different. Then you have the Enforcement and Removal Operations, the ERO. The ERO is responsible for the arrests of illegal immigrants, detaining them, and then removing them back to their foreign country. So that's for undocumented immigrants. And then you have the OPLA, the Office of the Principal Legal Advisor. This is the smallest of the 3 organizations within the agency, but very important. They're made up of attorneys and legal aides that they represent the U.S. government in proceedings concerning undocumented immigrants, as well as they supply legal support to the rest of the organizations within ICE and give support to other agencies in the DHS as well. So some of the positions you can have in each of these organizations. First, for ERO, you have deportation officers. They're responsible for identifying, arresting undocumented immigrants, transporting them to where they'll be detained while they go through the legal proceedings of whether they are legally here or not, and then eventually, if it's found that they're not here legally, they will be in charge of removing them to their country. Then we have detention and deportation officers. Detention officers within the ERO, they're responsible for the management of the detainment areas here in the states while people are being held before they're moved back to their home country. You have in Homeland Security investigations, you have criminal investigators. These are special agents, which is what I hope to be. They are responsible for investigating the human trafficking crimes, child exploitation charges, the cybersecurity, all of these things are what they investigate, as well as fraud as well. And so then you have the technical enforcement officers. These support the criminal investigators through more, as it says, technical things such as audio and video surveillance and things like that. They are the geniuses that kind of do the computer work and things behind what the criminal investigators need to do their jobs effectively. Then in the OPLA, it's mostly comprised of attorneys and legal aides again. And then they are responsible for representing the U.S. government in court for a judge. And then you have mission support specialists. So mission support specialists, they work on the administrative side of things. They do training. They make sure that the department is being run efficiently. They do human resources side of things and trainings and following protocol, all of that. It goes to the mission support specialists who just kind of make sure everything runs smoothly for everyone and makes improvements as well. Okay, so some of the controversy surrounding ICE, a lot of it has come because of President Trump's election. Since 2016, we've seen a lot of talk about immigration. If you've turn on the news, you've heard the discussion about immigration that's gone on in the last 4 years. But it's really interesting to know, I learned this during my research, that President Obama actually, under his presidency, ICE deported more individuals than have been deported under President Trump. Here's the difference though. ICE, under Obama's presidency, they went after criminal undocumented immigrants, which is important, but with an executive order, Trump expanded the definition to include all undocumented immigrants, whether they've been non-criminal or criminal in their time here. So that's kind of brought a lot of backlash. Democrats and Republicans are really split on this discussion. Democrats have even, not recently, but they've gone so far in the last maybe the last decade, maybe less than a decade, they've gone to push toward abolishing ICE completely as a whole. So with abolishing ICE, I think that the problem is that whenever you abolish ICE, you completely do away with what we discussed being the principal investigative arm of the DHS. So you no longer have someone to not only protect the security of our nation as a whole, but you also, you don't have anyone protecting immigrants anymore who are exploited whenever they come to the United States. So it's really important. I'm going to share this last quote. It's important to note that Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and not ICE is the body responsible for implementing the administration's zero-tolerance immigration policy that has led to the separation of families. However, ICE is tasked with housing adult detainees while they go through deportation proceedings, and they're expected to help parents and their families and their children reunite while they're being detained. So I definitely think that on the detainment side of things, we can do a lot better. But I don't think that it's rational to say that we should abolish ICE as a whole, because you do away with a lot of really important things, as well as the defense, the legal proceedings for undocumented immigrants, whenever you get rid of ICE as a whole. So that's my opinion on the controversy. And then finally, I have my sources listed for you. Thank you.